Hello and welcome to this video looking at how to break your big financial goals down into bite-sized chunks. So for many of you, you will have set a goal to achieve financial freedom, or maybe just set a goal to create some passive income that allows you to have a better lifestyle in some way, shape or form. Maybe you want to travel, have some holidays, or perhaps it's that you want to give up your day job. Whatever your goal and whatever the reason for your goal, what I'm going to do today is show you how to break that down into bite-sized chunks using property investment to achieve it. Now what we're going to look at today is using buy-to-let property investment in order to achieve your property goal and your financial goal. There's a number of different ways that you could break this down to achieve it, but just as an example, I'm going to show you using buy-to-let property investment. So what you need to do first of all is obviously look at what is your financial freedom goal. And we do that looking at what is the goal over the long term. And you might have a goal that is £10,000 a month that you want to achieve, and you want to achieve that over a couple of years. I really encourage you to set an end date on that so that you know exactly when you want to have achieved it by. And then once you have that date, you can then start to break it down. Now you can do this to break it down into the number of years, and then you can break it further down so that you can do a plan just for 1 year. So what I'm going to focus on today is helping you create a plan for just 1 year. So just to give you an example, if you were looking to create £5,000 passive income in 1 year, say this year you're looking to achieve that, if we start out and our start date is January, so let's say that we're starting at the beginning of the year and our start date is January. What we need to look at is what is our start point? What are we starting with? And if you're completely new to this and you're starting with zero, then obviously in this box what we're going to do is just put zero. So you have no passive income at the moment. Now you might have a job and you're getting income from that. What I'm going to focus on and look at here is how do you get to this point where you can reach your goal without necessarily needing a job and having to get up and go to work to do that. So let's say our passive income goal is £5,000. So we're going to put our goal at £5,000 that we want to achieve by the end of the year, let's say. So we want to do this in 1 year, so this is going to be December. That's our end date, and we put a specific date, so this might be the 31st of December, and then we might have the start point being the 1st of January. So now that we know what we've got to achieve, we've got a whole year to achieve £5,000, what we want to do is be able to break that down so that we can see whether we're on or off track. If you can imagine an airline pilot flying a plane, they would normally get in the plane and they'd have a start destination and they would have an end destination. So let's say that they're going to fly from England over to the USA, so maybe from London to New York, and their start destination is obviously London and the end destination is New York. However, that said, you can imagine that the pilot is not just going to get in the plane and set the end destination and hope that they end up there. What they need to do, just the same as what you're going to have to do, is they need to check along the way that they're still on track, that they're actually going to reach their destination in the time allotted. And if the plane starts veering off track, they need to bring it back on track, and they need to just make sure they're monitoring the route that they're going in order to reach the destination on time. So that's exactly what we're going to do for you. Rather than just saying I want to achieve £5,000 by the end of the year, we're going to help you create a plan and have that so that you can check throughout the year if you're on or off track. Now obviously you could just set in milestones, and you could say, well okay, I want to achieve £1,000 by March, and I want to achieve £2,000 by April, and so on and so forth. However, what you want to be able to do is to break that down to see how you're going to do that as well. So the best thing to do is look at what sort of strategy you're going to employ to do it. And we talked about using buy-to-let properties for rental income in order to accrue this financial freedom goal. So if I was to use, let's say, a multi-let property, a house of multiple occupation, and I was to, that's to tenant it to more than one person, so you're renting out by the room, you can generally create quite a lot of profit and passive income from a multi-let property, providing that you get it right and you have the right number of rooms and you make sure that you're having it set up in the right way. So on average, let's say that you could create £1,000 per profit per property. Now that might seem an awful lot, so what we'll do is we'll break that down a little bit further. That's very achievable, but for anybody who's new, you might think, well, that's really quite a high profit level. So let's break it down in half of that and say, well, if you could only make £500 a month profit from it, then let's see how many properties that you're going to need to get in order to achieve that. So obviously keeping the numbers really simple here, so taking it down half gives you £500 a month profit. So if I'm going to make £500 a month profit from each of my properties that I'm going to invest in, obviously I'm going to need, in order to reach my £5,000 goal, I'm going to need 10 properties, which means that throughout the year I need to invest in 10 properties. So what I can do is I can look at how am I going to build that up so that I get to 10 for the end of the year. Now if you're brand new and you're starting this out, you might want to give yourself a little bit of time at the beginning to build some momentum and find out your area and do your research, and we've got lots of other videos that cover those sorts of things. So just to help you understand, if you are starting from fresh, you might want to just give yourself a couple of months in order to create that momentum. But let's say your plan is that in the first 3 months of the year, you're going to have done 2 of those properties. So we can now say that by March, you're going to have achieved £1,000 profit because you're going to have done 2 properties. So that's your first milestone. Then what we're going to do is we're going to look at, well, what's the next milestone? So I want to make sure that I'm building some momentum here. So in the next 3 months of the year, I want to be in a position that I've now got 4 more properties. So that I'm building on that and I've got an additional £2,000. So I've got 2 properties here. And I'm going to get 4 more properties here. And that's going to give me another £2,000, which means that I'm now up to £3,000. So that's going to give me some momentum. Now I might say, well, okay, it's going to take me at least 3 months to do that. I've done this in the first few months. I'm going to give myself till the end of June to do this. So that's going to be the 30th of June, this goal. And I'm going to get some momentum going in order to achieve that. And that's very possible as long as you build the momentum and you keep active with it and you build your team and you make sure that you've got the support around you to do that. And that's one of the reasons that I work with people on a one-to-one and group basis to help them build these plans and to implement the plan, because it's really important that you get the right support in order to achieve these kind of goals. So we've got to the end of June and we're up to 3k. So now we've got the last 6 months of the year to achieve the additional £2,000 to get to your £5,000. Now the likelihood is, if you've taken on 4 properties at this point, that's going to create some busyness for you. You might find that, you know, in the first 6 months you've got 6 properties. That's going to mean that you've got quite a lot of work that's being piled up behind you. So you might want to give yourself some additional time before you get the next 2 properties and you get to the £4,000. So at £4,000, I'm going to give myself a few extra months to do this. So I'm going to give myself till the end of September in order to get my next 2 properties. Okay, so 30th of September, I'm going to be at £4,000. And that allows me then, for the final 3 months of the year, I can work on my final 2 properties. so that come the end of December, I'm now at my £5,000 goal. Now what you'll find throughout the year, whilst this looks really great, things don't always go to plan, and that again is why you need support, because you will need that encouragement, that motivation to keep going, to build this plan and to implement the plan. And what you need to do is to keep this plan available to you so that you can see this, so that you can tell if you're on or off track. And what this will help you do is to adjust your course, just the same as the airline pilot. The destination doesn't change, but sometimes we might veer off course a little bit. And this will help us understand how far on or off course we are against our end goal. So if you get to March and you haven't got £1,000, you haven't got your first 2 properties, that isn't the end of the world, but what you need to make sure is that you know where you're up to. You know, maybe you've got 1 property and there's another one still in the process, it's not quite completed yet, but you're about to do it. Then that means that you're still kind of on track, you've just got some adjustment to do to make sure that you keep that momentum going. And the same for the rest of the year. These are not necessarily exact targets, but these are just little milestones to check how far on or off track you are. Because if you're quite far off track by midway point through the year, let's say you've only got 4 properties in total by the 30th of June, then you know that you've got a lot of work to do in the final part of the year. And that can help you understand what other things you need to put in place if you want to achieve this goal. Because it's very possible for you to do this. What's important is that if you can understand your plan and you can set these milestones and you can track yourself against them, you can look to see what support, what help you can get to make sure that you can stay on track and you can achieve your financial freedom. I hope that's been of some help to you and some benefit for you to understand how to break your goal down into bite-sized chunks and how to stay on track to achieve your financial freedom. If I can be of any help to you in the future, please do get in touch at thepropertymentor.com. Thank you very much.